What's the deal with seed oils? Are they toxic or are they actually healthy? Because in the nutrition space and on social media today, we have health professionals and influencers just butting heads, and how do you know what to believe? We have health professionals that are shaming and calling other health professionals fearmongers because we're trying to highlight the dangers that seed oils come with. But as you're going to learn about today, seed oils are far from a health promoting food, and they might actually be one of the worst ingredients in our American food system today. But it's not just me that's talking about the dangers of seed oils. There's many decorated health professionals and doctors out there that are sounding the alarm about the dangers of seed oils, including Dr. Kate Shanahan, 13-time New York Times bestselling author Dr. Mark Hyman, Dave Feldman, Stanford graduates Callie Means and Dr. Casey Means, Chris Kenobi, MD, and this is just the very tip of the iceberg. We're all sounding the alarms about the dangers that seed oils have, and today I'm going to be breaking down the science for you so you actually understand why seed oils are a pretty toxic ingredient in our food system. So what does it actually mean for something to be toxic? Well, the definition of toxic is just one word: poisonous. This gives people the impression that for things to be toxic, it needs to be acutely toxic and kill you pretty much instantly. But there's a such thing as long-term toxicity. You probably heard the phrase, the dose makes the poison. To give you a few examples, take smoking for instance. Smoking cigarettes won't kill you right away, but if you smoke for years on end, you're more likely to get cancer and even die. Take trans fats for instance. These are considered toxic. These were banned in 2018 by the FDA. But a little bit of trans fats won't kill you. But if you eat trans fats over a longer period of time, years to decades, these will cause some serious health problems. And this is the same exact problem that we're also having with seed oils. So why do prestigious organizations and health professionals say that things like cottonseed, corn oil, canola oil, sunflower, soybean, and safflower oils are all healthy? Well, I can pretty much sum that up in one sentence. Mainstream health professionals are hyper fixated on LDL as the culprit and the cause behind cardiovascular diseases. If you just have high LDL, then you are at a substantially higher risk of developing plaque inside your arteries and suffering from heart disease. And because seed oils like the ones that I just mentioned lower your LDL, and animal fats like tallow and butter and ghee raise your LDL, then you are at a higher risk of just having more plaque in your arteries. But when you eat seed oils, this lowers your LDL. And mainstream health professionals will tell you, eat seed oils, it's going to lower your LDL and you will have a less risk of cardiovascular diseases. But there's major flaws in this line of thinking, as we broke down in our most recent video talking about Whole30 and their inclusion of seed oils in their program. These mainstream organizations and health professionals pretty much only cite a couple different types of studies, forgetting to cite a lot of this research that I'm about to talk about today. They only provide research showing that seed oils lower LDL, or they cite observational studies funded by seed oil companies that show eating more seed oils lowers your risk of getting cardiovascular diseases. But as we've pointed out in my last video, that science just isn't that good. The problem with this logic is that eating seed oils to lower your LDL won't reduce your risk of heart disease, because a study involving almost 137,000 patients hospitalized with a heart attack found that 75% of them had low to normal LDL levels. People are having heart attacks with high LDL and people are having heart attacks with low LDL. Why is that? Because the root cause of cardiovascular diseases isn't just LDL. It's when your LDL becomes oxidized. Sure, seed oils might lower your LDL, but they're gonna cause any LDL that you do have to become highly oxidized. Now, this is different than inflammation, but oxidation and oxidative stress is what we are gonna hammer home today, and I got the science to back it up. Just by the sheer definition, oxidation in and of itself is toxic. And after repeated exposure and enough oxidative stress has occurred, a lot of health problems can happen. Now, as we've talked about already, much of the outdated views on heart disease solely focused on the amount of LDL, but newer and more up-to-date science clearly shows that the amount of oxidized LDL is a much better predictor of cardiovascular problems. And in fact, recent evidence has found that atherosclerosis may not even be possible without oxidized LDL cholesterol. Now, seed oils become oxidized in a few different ways. First, the process of even extracting the oils from the grains and seeds is a highly refined, highly ultra processed system And this causes a lot of those oils, those fragile polyunsaturated fats, to become oxidized. It involves high heat, harsh chemical solvents, and exposure to air and light, which just by the sheer nature of trying to get these oils out of these grains and seeds causes them to become damaged. Next, after these oils have already undergone a lot of ultra processing and they're already damaged, they are bottled in plastic and then they sit on store shelves for months at a time, and they're broken down even further by more air, more light, and more heat. Then third, when we ingest these oils, these very fragile polyunsaturated fatty acids break down into what's called oxalums. These are oxidized linoleic acid metabolites. And we're going to talk more about those in just a few minutes to come. And last and maybe worst of all, we heat these up ourselves on the stovetop, or even worse, deep frying. And this creates infinitely more amounts of rancid oxidized byproducts. And actually they even create trans fats when these seed oils are heated up. And the problem is our bodies can't eliminate these things. Now it's important to note that these seed oils were put into our human diet ever so recently. Just in the late 1800s to early 1900s did we really start consuming seed oils. And this is important because this is well before the FDA developed GRAS status. This is generally regarded as safe. And the issue with this, all these oils, corn, cottonseed, sunflower, soybean, safflower oils, were all grandfathered into GRAS status without being rigorously tested. Now, here's one of the major problems behind seed oils and why they are so toxic to the human body. The major problem with seed oils is that because they create a lot of oxidation, which we're going to talk about, they deplete our bodies of antioxidant vitamins like vitamin C and vitamin E. And you might be thinking, if seed oils cause oxidation and deplete our bodies of these antioxidant vitamins, then why not just eat more of them? I mean, antioxidant vitamins, they fight the oxidation. It would make sense. And that's what I asked myself because I thought maybe the same thing. But it turns out there was actually a lot of research dedicated to this topic specifically over the past 80 years. And unfortunately, because we're eating so much seed oils in our culture today, even if we do supplement and eat more antioxidant vitamins like vitamin C and vitamin E, it's like taking 2 steps forward and 100 steps back. To prove this point, there was a series of studies conducted in the 1950s and 60s that was dedicated to looking at this subject. This was done on inpatients at hospitals in Illinois. So this was a very highly controlled study on patients that didn't leave. This was a very high retention rate on these patients. Now, half the patients were given a low PUFA diet. This is low polyunsaturated fatty acid diet containing lard, and the other half of the patients were given a high PUFA diet containing corn oil. The corn oil diet contained about 30% polyunsaturated fatty acids in their diet, which is really on par with what we are eating today. The lard group, on the other hand, only contained 4% polyunsaturated fatty acids, which is comparable to pre-industrialized cultures, which we're going to talk more about that in a minute. Now, in the beginning of the study, the researchers were right. They found that the high PUFA corn oil diet needed about 3 times more vitamin E than the lard group. But something interesting happened after 2 years of eating these diets. Across the board, the corn oil group's blood levels of vitamin E started to tank, even though they were still taking the same amount of vitamin E that they were 2 years to start the study. And when the researchers tested and biopsied the corn oil group's cell membranes, it tested extremely high for oxidative damage. This meant that the high amounts of vitamin E weren't enough to prevent the constant influx of oxidation from eating a high PUFA diet. So over the next 50 years until 2008, researchers were really trying to figure out why eating a high PUFA diet caused oxidative stress in these individuals. As it turns out, after bombarding your body with a high PUFA diet for just a few years, our fat cells get stuffed with so much polyunsaturated fats that they really just kind of stop working, and even worse, they release a ton of inflammatory cytokines. This is called oxidative stress. And once you pass that breaking point, it's really hard to undo that damage. This is that concept of the dose makes the poison. Will eating a little bit of French fries or a little bit of fried food or a little bit of seed oils now be harmful in the short term? Probably not. You might feel a little sluggish. You might feel some indigestion. You might feel a little inflamed. But if you span that out over a few years, you might do irreparable damage to your body and your cells and your cell membranes that we're going to talk more about. because that's what oxidative stress is. Oxidative stress is caused by long-term excessive PUFA consumption, and this is the underlying culprit behind so many different health issues. Not only is oxidative stress involved in plaque formation and heart attacks and strokes, but it's also involved in the tau proteins in Alzheimer's disease and many other degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis. Oxidative stress is also involved in inflammation that drives autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, irritable bowel disease, Hashimoto's, and more. And it's also involved in diabetes, cancer, and other chronic health issues that we're experiencing at epidemic rates today. This should be mind-blowing and super concerning because seed oils make up 80% of our fat calories today. 120 years ago, they made up 0% of our calories. Now they make up 80% of our fat calories and 20 to 30% of our overall total calories every single day. They're very hard to avoid because they're in over 80% of foods in the grocery store. And if you're feeling sluggish, tired, or you just don't have much energy, you have achy joints or dealing with a level of autoimmunity, or you're experiencing excessive weight and it's really hard to burn body fat, this could be a direct cause. None of these are a normal part of aging, and you can help all of these just by making a few simple tweaks to your diet, most predominantly by eliminating seed oils from your diet for just 30 to 60 days. Now, diving a little bit deeper and just kind of peeling that onion back a little bit more, other than what we just mentioned, what is it about seed oils? What's the cause? Like, what is it about seed oils that causes them to become toxic and lead to this oxidative stress? Simply put, it's the excessive amount of linoleic acid. Linoleic acid is just one type of fatty acid found in seed oils. It's the most predominant type of fatty acid that you're going to find in seed oils like cottonseed, corn, sunflower, soybean, safflower oils. Now, we need linoleic acid from our diet because we can't make it internally. We need to get it from our foods, but we only need a very tiny amount. The problem is because we're eating so much seed oils now, 20% of our total calories from seed oils, we are now getting an astronomically amount of linoleic acid in our diet. And excessive amounts of linoleic acid in the human body is disastrous for our health. Mostly because humans can't detoxify excessive amounts of linoleic acid. Its half-life is about 680 days, meaning it takes 680 days to eliminate half the amount that's in our body, and then another 680 days to eliminate half that amount. And because linoleic acid is more for building blocks, it's meant to create the structure of our cells. It's not meant to give us energy. We just store a lot of it in our fat tissues. And what's surprising is that there was research done by Chris Knobe, MD, that found that when he studied hunter-gatherer cultures over the span of a couple decades, those that ate their traditional diets without seed oils, when he biopsied their body fat had about maybe 4% at most polyunsaturated fatty acids in it. But when he compared that to our body fat today living in the United States, it contains between 20 and 30% polyunsaturated fatty acids. And this makes logical sense. Our consumption of soybean oil, which is one of the highest seed oils that contains linoleic acid, this skyrocketed over 1,000 times since the year 1900. And he found a perfect correlation between our increase in seed oil consumption and the amount of PUFA in our fat tissues. So not only does storing all this PUFA, this linoleic acid in our tissues lead to oxidative stress like I just talked about, but maybe even worse, linoleic acid, when it just stays in our body, it breaks down into many volatile compounds that are even worse for us than linoleic acid. This is called oxidized linoleic acid metabolites, or oxalums. These are far more dangerous and inflammatory than linoleic acid itself has been shown to be. There's 4 major types of oxalums that have been extensively studied in the research, and I'm going to put them on the screen right here. So when advocates are talking about the health benefits of seed oils, they're just talking about, like I mentioned, seed oils lower LDL, and then they look at observational studies showing that when you eat more seed oils, you have less risk for heart disease. But they're never showing data talking about oxidative stress, and they're not talking about these major linoleic acid metabolites that can cause a host of health issues. Not to mention when seed oils are heated up, just on the stovetop, maybe you're sauteing a little bit of broccolini or Brussels sprouts. Shout out to Brussels sprouts. If you're heating seed oils up, if you throw a little bit of canola oil down or soybean oil down or sunflower oil down on a saucepan and you start heating that up, you're going to create even worse compounds called aldehydes. Maybe the most well-known one is called formaldehyde. This is a group 1 carcinogen known to cause cancer by the World Health Organization. And aldehydes are so problematic, they lead to a host of health issues. And just to illustrate just how problematic these aldehydes are, there was a recent study published in 2019 in the prestigious medical journal Nature that found that just a 5-ounce, a little serving of French fries from a major fast food chain, fried in vegetable oil, contains 25 times more of these dangerous aldehydes than the World Health Organization's tolerable upper limit for exposure. They went on to say that this amount of toxins was the equivalent of smoking 20 to 25 cigarettes. So just eating 5-ounce serving of fries fried in seed oils created as many aldehyde cancer-causing compounds that you would get by smoking 25 cigarettes. That's absurd. And again, this is not to make you fear seed oils. This is not to scare you. This is just to make you aware that eating seed oils over a span of time can lead to health issues, can lead to oxidized LDL. It can lead to a disruption in your body fat and hormonal signaling. And as we're about to talk about, it even oxidizes our mitochondria. Mitochondria are basically the power plants inside of most of our cells in our body. And if you've been struggling with low energy, you can't burn body fat, brain fog, the list goes on and on. And if you've been struggling with this, it could be because your mitochondria are under a lot of oxidative stress from too much seed oil consumption. Now, to really drive this point home and to wrap this video up, our mitochondria burn sugar, and they can even burn ketones for fuel. And so you've heard of the ketogenic diet. When we eat dietary fat, your body can actually use fat as fuel. Well, linoleic acid isn't really good. It's not good at being burned as fuel. Like I mentioned earlier, it's meant to provide structure to the cells. It provides structure. So it really just kind of gets stored in our tissues and provides structure to our cells. And if we're eating a lot of linoleic acid, your cells kind of become floppy, and your mitochondria don't know how to use that for fuel. And so what happens is when you eat a lot of linoleic acid and your mitochondria are trying to use this as fuel, especially with excessive amounts of high fructose corn syrup and other refined sugars, your mitochondria, it's just not working that well. It's under a lot of oxidative stress. And what are the most mitochondrial dense tissues in the body? Well, your heart. That's why we see a lot of heart problems when people are eating excessive amounts of seed oils that are causing oxidative stress. Your eyes are very mitochondrial dense, and that's why seed oils and oxidative stress have been highly associated and shown to be causal in mice when they're excessively eating linoleic acid. Also, your brain is super mitochondrial dense. Like I mentioned, oxidative stress is involved in the tau proteins that are involved in Alzheimer's disease. Obesity, insulin resistance, your pancreas, the beta cells in your pancreas, whenever they're undergoing a lot of oxidative stress, you can see how this doesn't work very well. Even autoimmune disorders that are lining your gut, seed oils and excessive amounts of linoleic acid over time, years of excessive amounts of polyunsaturated fatty acid consumption has been shown to lead to a host of oxidative stress, not just on our mitochondria, but pretty much everywhere in the body. Now, as I wrap up this video, you might be wondering how mainstream health professionals have this so wrong. If I just laid out what some of the issues were behind seed oils and why they are so toxic, why are mainstream health organizations and professionals saying that they're healthy? That's something that we are going to be talking about a lot in more videos to come, but it really comes back to who's funding the studies and big pharma and the system in which medical professionals are taught. A lot of these medical professionals, cardiologists, are insanely intelligent individuals, but when they are trained and taught in a system that teaches them the wrong thing, they will become world class at doing that thing. They are trained in a system where big pharma funds that research, and then the outcomes are favorable for the drug that research was testing for. And in order for statin drugs to be effective and beneficial, high LDL needs to be the culprit. And if high LDL isn't the culprit, then statins have no legs to stand on whatsoever. Because in all actuality, the real culprit behind cardiovascular diseases, modern day chronic diseases, are modern day chronic lifestyle driven problems. Being highly sedentary, eating toxic seed oils, eating too much refined sugar, lack of sleep, high stress, environmental pollutants, the list goes on and on. You can change your health by diet and lifestyle. But big food and big pharma will go to great lengths, and they have gone to great lengths for the past 100 years to shift the narrative that highly ultra processed foods like seed oils aren't the problem. And then you continue to eat big food's junk and take big pharma's pills. Instead, what you should be doing is not fearing animal foods. You should be eating a whole foods based diet, just getting up, moving your body every single day, and not underestimating the power of going for a simple walk, getting outside in nature, and just putting your body back in tune with nature. So don't fear animal fats like red meat, butter, tallow, ghee, eggs, raw dairy. Don't fear these foods. That's exactly what these big corporations want you to fear, because in order for their products to be healthy, our meat, our dairy, our eggs, our raw milk needs to be unhealthy. Guys, as we laid out today, seed oils are one of the most problematic ingredients in the entire American food supply. And again, it's not meant to make you fear these foods. It's not meant to make you afraid of eating seed oils. If you have them every once in a while, it's probably not going to be that problematic. My goal is never to make you fear anything. It's actually the opposite. My goal is to inspire you, give you a little bit of education, and give you hope that you can make a change in your life and your health. Guys, I'm Craig McCloskey. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, leave me a like and a comment below. Be sure to subscribe because we have a lot of incredible content just like this. So be sure to send this video out to somebody that you know that needs to stop eating seed oils the most, and I'll talk to you next time.